Hey everybody, I recently got this little Japanese lockback. Thought it was such a cool knife. That bolster and the smooth bone. It's an OLSEN OK 162. I think they called it the Little BRASSY. It's a Japanese made lockback, probably from the 80s. You can see that scale was kind of loose there, and there was nothing holding on the scales. They were just glued, so I'm gonna add a pin right through there. So I made me a little spacer here because I'm gonna be drilling through these liners and these scales. Yeah, I just got me a little bit of a block set up, and I just had to figure out a way to hold this knife securely while I drilled a hole in it. This part is very important because I neglect this. See, I just wrapped some tape around there for easy removal. We've made our way over to the drill press here, and that spacer is going to help not blow out so much and just kind of support that knife as I drill through there. And we only want to drill through one side, and then we want to flip the knife over and drill through the other side. This drill press came out of a factory that made organs, and my grandfather worked at. I'm not sure what stage in the process of the organ making, but it had a particular purpose, that they used it for one thing. I had sharpened that bit before I did this, so I had a really nice sharp bit, and I just nice and slow made such a nice little hole. And for some reason, I don't know why, I thought to myself, just do it. Even though I knew better. And I recorded me flipping the knife over. I still drilled all the way through. Oh, it felt nice. Camillus that we've seen that I put new scales on. Oh, and the initial disappointment of the blowout on the other side. You can see that was a clean hole there. It wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be. It was a very thin layer of that bone had blew out on the other side. Now you can see it. Even though I knew better, I still did it. Isn't that something? Alright, so I'm just going to cut this. I bought a pack of pin stock, an assorted pack, and just found the one that was the right diameter that matched the other two pins that were in the knife, in the handle. I'm gonna reuse this spacer because I'm gonna epoxy this pin in here, and I'm also gonna try to get a little bit of epoxy underneath the scales, and then I'm gonna clamp it together. It's got some fire. I've had some really good luck with this JB Weld 5-minute epoxy. It does set up quick. But for on small deals like this, let's use that razor blade like a shim, and got a little bit under that handle. And you'll see later on, I go through and I re-sand and polish the whole handle and bolster. I did nothing to the blade. Just kind of making sure it's getting in them cracks. That scale was a little bit loose, so I barely put a little C-clamp on there. You can see I put some masking tape under that. Immediately afterwards, I took that clamp off and I put some masking tape on there so that I didn't get that clamp epoxy to my bolster. That bone worried me. And this turned out really well. If you could only see it, but it's just not in focus. I'm going to trim this excess pin off here. Alright, I taped off the blade just to protect it. I got a pretty worn out 120 grit belt on here. This knife was so flat already, and I was actually really surprised when I received it how flat this knife was. I didn't realize how skinny and flat this knife was. So we're just going to be super careful, and we're just going to blend everything together, looking for those low spots. And addressing them as they pop up. Every once in a while, you'll be able to see a little bit of a low spot in the bolster or in the bone. And I just, nice and easy, try to keep it as flat as I can. I use that little spot there, that little slack spot. Couldn't be a more valuable thing on that belt sander. You can see I got a nice flat surface to start working with. I had a little bit of blowout still left, but barely any. We gotta go cut that pin out of the way so the blade can close. I just get me a little cutoff disc with the same rotary bit or handpiece that I'm always using, and a little cutoff wheel in there. I just take my time and try not to mess up the liner on the inside. I was just gentle and cut that pin right out of there. And I had a little file that I just kind of used to feel and make sure there was no burr there. Looks like such a gentleman's knife to me. I got me a little block of wood and some, I think this maybe was some 400 grit sandpaper. And I'm keeping it dry. And I'm keeping it flat. And I'm just gonna keep sanding it until I get out everything from the belt sander. You can see there's a low spot there. I didn't mind if it was totally flat. That's not what I was going for. All I wanted was it to be better than when I got it. So as long as I didn't make it all wavy and man, you get a light above a flat metal surface. That's the business I'm in. I wrapped some sandpaper around a little dowel rod and was just using it to clean out that may have switched grits here. I think I only sanded down to 600. Alright, so here I had to try to, this is all kind of new to me, on polishing bone. And I've learned recently that when I get it wet, it immediately sucks up whatever I'm using as my lubricant. I'm using some brand new little felt bobs from Geschwin. So what I'm gonna do is I just use these felt bobs in a little bit of yellow diamond, and I do it all dry, and it worked so nice. I went from 600, and you can see how quick. And once you get that bone polished up, then it's not going to be sucking up all the grease and grime that's on your hands. Now you can actually touch it. When it's porous, it just, as soon as you touch it, it just takes the dirt right off your finger. So I'm focusing on these bone scales here, and not even the brass bolster. I'm trying not to buff the bolster. I don't want that brass to get on my buff and then get infused into that bone yet. I end up buffing it all at once. You can see how slick that was. I was very glad that I discovered this in this moment. I had previously done a Baron-Son Barlow that when I was buffing the bone handles, I was using mineral spirits and they just sucked it up. And it just stained them all ugly. Now I'm going to focus on the bolster and the spine here and just make my way around the whole knife. Same thing, I'm keeping it dry though. Usually when I would buff or polish any kind of metal, like right now I would be using mineral spirits as a lubricant. That brass was just so flat, and I was glad that I took the time to make sure that I kept it all really flat. Here I just use a stiff bristle brush, and I'm just making sure the blade has a pattern through the whole thing, because there was a little bit of imperfections in it, and I'm just gonna put this knife away, so I'm just patterning up the blade. If I don't, it'll drive me crazy. Now we have hard buffed the handle and the bolster. I'm going to use some of the Simichrome. And I'm going to use a little piece of felt that I would make buffs and bobs out of. And I'm just going to rub this by hand, and you can see how quickly and how nice that piece of felt and that Simichrome makes that brass. Here we go. Added a pin. The aesthetics, I think it's way better. It does help hold the scales on. I was really happy with the way that it looked. All in all, I think we made the knife better than it was when we got it, and that's the goal. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and let me know what you think in the comments. I know I sure do love these old Jap lockbacks.